Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Friday. Yes, it is here. What a week. It just seems like this is the new, I guess, things that were going, started last year. We called it the year of chaos. I still don't have a good name for this year. This year it seems even more so as all kinds of things happening almost 24 hours a day. You just never know when things are going to break, when news is going to come out upsetting the markets. The stock market had a tough day yesterday. Looks like another tough day today as we continue to tell you, you got to get diversified here. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, I'll say this. A lot of people paid attention to the Canada-U.S. hockey game yesterday. It was, my wife and I, we were out. We actually had dinner, and we did a comedy show. By the way, still too soon for political jokes, apparently. Yes, very divided crowds. The comics they tested the waters, and they're like, okay, never mind. Let's not go there. We'll go somewhere else. But we did notice a lot of the bars had the hockey game on. I don't know if you guys, maybe the NHL has a good idea. Instead of like all-star games, it was the U.S., Canada, maybe Russia, Sweden. I don't know, hockey, there's more countries, I guess, that can compete, so they had a tournament. And it, of course, ended up with U.S. and Canada in the finals. They had actually played earlier in the week, and within 9 seconds of the game starting, there was two fights. The Kachuk brothers for the United States were going at, that game was in Canada. They had booed the national anthem and, all the 51st state stuff. And for you old Coyote fans, of course, they're not here anymore, but Keith Kachuk, Jeremy Rodick, they were for a little while very good players here for the Coyote franchise. It's Kachuk's two kids that are leading Team USA. They lost in a thriller, 3-2 in overtime, but I think it was good. Everybody kind of showing their pride, if you will, and watching. Let's face it, not a lot of people watch hockey, at least here in Arizona. Like I said, we had a hockey team. No one went to the game, so they moved to Salt Lake City, but a lot of people were watching it yesterday, Jason, and it was, believe it or not, when I drive in early to work. They were actually talking about it on the sports station, and I don't remember the last time they talked about hockey on the sports station. So it definitely, people were watching.
Yeah, I guess the news has got Canada all upset at America, I guess. So, okay. I guess that made it a lot more exciting. But maybe it'll make everybody happy. We'll just call it the Gulf of Canada, and then all three countries will then all be happy. Mexico won't have it. America won't have it, But then Canada, you'll be the 51st state, but we'll call it the Gulf of Canada then. And everybody should be happy then.
Yeah, so I'll just say this. The NHL should send Donald Trump a thank you. This is probably the most press they've got. I don't know if I've ever talked NHL on the show. And I've been doing this thing for over 20 years. So there you go. A lot of things, though, happening today. Probably starts with United Healthcare. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about looking into United Healthcare's billing practices when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid billing. United Healthcare is trying to say, hey, this isn't new. No, there's no new stuff here, but their stock getting jackhammered. I actually know some people that work at United Healthcare, and they're all panicked. So this is the same company. Remember, their CEO is the one that got gunned down in New York. I forget the guy's name, who didn't even have insurance with them, but gunned him down. There is some form of an investigation as to, so it was Luigi Mangione was the gunman there, and an investigation into billing practice. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's just hope United Healthcare didn't do anything wrong. Because if they did, and, I'm going to assume they did. And I hate to say it, but that's just my assumption. If it's, if it's this much out in the open now, there's something here. Get ready for even higher healthcare costs. Because let's face it, if they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, right, billing things they shouldn't have billed, Jason, that they're going to make up that cost somehow. And, of course, my wife and I, we have United Healthcare, so we're just thrilled with it. But it started there, but it doesn't end there. Hooters, maybe no more. Get ready for a bankruptcy filing coming from them. Forever 21. Well, they may be forever gone. This is their second bankruptcy filing in the matter of 2 years. 200 more Forever 21s, and they're hoping to avoid liquidation. And then Nissan Motors, the Japanese company, Moody's cuts its rating to junk, warning about lack of cash and lack of sales. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Friday. A quick look in at the markets here. The Dow's down almost 400 more points today. The S&P's down 32. The Nasdaq's down 120. I guess good news, the 10-year note is lower today, 4.46. And mostly because the news was bad. Home sales, bad. I mean, inflation bad. There is a lot of bad economic data. It's got crude oil down $1.50. Gold, we're kind of used to, like the Friday gold sell-off. That's kind of been like the weird trend, right? The last 3 weeks we get these big, like, remember last Friday gold fell like $50, and then by Tuesday we had taken it all back. It started out that way, and now it's kind of going back the other way right now. Gold's only down 8 at 29.32. At one point, it was like 29.14. So, and then all of a sudden, all this data came out, and gold is completely turned around here. Silver, same thing, was lower, coming back here, but 32.60. And as we kind of watch Wall Street, remember yesterday it was Walmart? And I told you, it wasn't bad. But the price to perfection, as we've been warning all of you about, as far as stock market PE valuations, there's only been one time it's been higher, and that was the dot-com bubble. And it's right next to it. It's not like we're away from it. I mean, we're right there. And then today, I forget who it was. It may have been Citi. It may have been Morgan. I don't know. One of the big guys out there was talking about cash on hand at the lowest levels going back to the financial crisis now. So there may not be a lot of fuel here. That's why we keep telling you, get diversified. Even when, hey, well, I like what's going on. My guy won. I get it. It's just a bad setup here. Get an IRA. You got big money sitting in your IRAs. Call us. Have Arlene take part of that. Get it into a gold and silver IRA. Obviously, you got money in the bank. Call us when we run these specials. We got another great special today, too, to help you do that. But 800-951-0592. I'm going to focus on debt here today. So we have Doge, right? They're trying to cut, and they're firing people now. Yesterday, I think, was the biggest one day of layoffs that we've seen yet out of the federal government. People are starting to worry now. The amount of layoffs and funding that's going to be cut off, are we going to be put into this recession, right? And they're probably right about that. Of course, they want to come back with spending a bunch of money. Donald Trump trying to get hey, I like this House budget. We're going to extend the tax cuts that are going to cost $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years. We're going to cut spending by $2 trillion over 10 years. Of course, everyone can do the math. They're like, wait a minute, that's spending more money. Yes, they want to spend more money. We're going to see the Senate not so sure. They actually trying to pass a bill right now to at least give $360 billion more dollars to the military and the border to just in case the Senate and the House can't get this other bill passed, some emergency spending to try to offset this. But I want to lay this out for everyone. Why is it? It's not an accident that gold is running. It's not an accident that we continue to struggle at the debt auctions. You know, if you go back to the debt auctions, say, 20 years ago, the terrible auctions of 20 years ago, and there weren't that many, but when we had one, you'd have one. Oh, man, that was terrible. That's not a good auction today, right? And you got to keep that in mind. And what is happening globally is they're making decisions that say, hey, you know what? I don't care if it's U.S. debt, Japanese debt, European debt, Chinese debt, England debt, it doesn't matter. I want less. I want less of it. And I'm going to buy gold instead. Right? That has been a trend. And people, everyone, it's just been a trend recently. No. It's been a trend since 2005. It's been a trend for 20 years. And the trend gets bigger. Now, the last 3 years, the trend has gotten much bigger. Right? They're doing it more and more and more. But let me really lay this out for you as easily as I can. Okay? In the next 4 years, the United States government has to roll over $28 trillion of debt. But now think about it. We don't even know how much debt we got right now because we're at the debt ceiling. But somewhere, let's call it around $37 trillion right now, right? We'll find out once they get this thing settled. But somewhere around $37 trillion, we're going to be close to $40 trillion at the end of this year. And you're telling me $28 trillion has to be rolled over in the next 4 years in addition to however much more debt we add, right? That's a fact. There's no way to change it. But when you look at what they've been trying to tell us, let's just take a look here. So they are now saying, okay, how about 3%? Inflation's 3%. Really? Electricity rates are up 5% year over year. Rent and housing costs up 5% year over year. And now they're starting to say there's going to be an apartment crunch again. I don't know how. Maybe not in Arizona. We build apartments here like it's going out of style, but apparently they're not building enough apartments everywhere else. Get ready for higher prices there, if you can believe it or not. Healthcare costs 6%. Food, I mean, come on. I don't even know how much more food is. Auto insurance, house insurance, right? You're talking about 20% increases, and yet, oh, no, it's only 3%. We know it's not true. But when we start looking at all of this debt, okay, the $28 trillion that has to be refinanced, most of that debt that has to be refinanced, that $28 trillion, sold at a rate of less than 2%. Right? Remember, we went 15 years of zero, right? And so, the rates that they were buying a 2-year note, a 3-year note, a 5-year note, a 10-year note, I mean, they were astronomically low. If they have to now be refinanced at, let's say, 5%. That's an extra $3 trillion or 3% interest on the $28 trillion. Do you know what that equates to? $840 billion per year in additional interest. And this is, Jason, I'm trying to get people to understand, interest payments last year were only $1 trillion. This year, we're going to be somewhere between best case scenario 1.5, worst case scenario probably 1.8 trillion in interest. But here's the problem. That's still a good year. The way we are going for the rest of the 20s, 26, 27, 28, 29, we are going to look at interest payments on the national debt that will exceed $2 trillion a year. I mean, by the end of this, we could see somewhere close to 2.5, a worst case scenario, $3 trillion in interest, and nobody's talking about it. This is why gold's doing what it's doing. Don't be fooled here. It's tariffs and it's this. Oh, it's a short squeeze. No. Be your own central bank. Because all of these they all know this is coming. You think it's by accident now they're talking about revaluing gold, audit Fort Knox, right? There's no accidents here, Jason.
You revalue gold up high enough, you can start printing a whole bunch more money too, right? And we know that's inflative, what that's going to cause. And you're right, you mentioned earlier that the rolling over the debt, that's not just this year. That happened last year and caused some problems. It's happening this year. It's going to happen through 2026 at least. And it rolls over every year, right, Joe? But there's just an extremely large amount these next, between last year and the years to come.
Here's the problem. We went crazy with debt. I mean, if you think about before the financial crisis, we were 5 or 6 trillion. In 20 years, we're going to go from 5 to 6 to 40. I mean, that's absurd. And of course, it was cheap the first 15 years they did it. Right? Well, it didn't really cost us that much. I mean, we're borrowing it for less than 1%, 2%, right? It was cheap. Not cheap anymore. And there's no way out. That's why I said we need Doge. Hey, listen, they better cut $1 trillion. They better find more than $1 trillion, right? We got problems. And they only get worse. It's not like, what happens on the 5th year? They just did these 4. It doesn't change. It gets worse. Every year after this, you got to remember now, we're adding trillions to it every year. Some of it gets sold in a 2-year note. Some of it's a 3-year note, a 5-year note, a 7-year note. You get the picture. 10-year notes. And then when that note hits its expiration date, well, you got to resell it. I mean, I'm gonna say that by 2030, we're probably going to be closing in on refinancing $10 trillion a year. And it just keeps growing. By 2035, what are we going to be talking about? $15 trillion a year? I mean, this is the biggest problem. And this is why you're seeing all of these people go to gold. Because they get it. Hey, something's got to give. There's going to be some kind of a reset. Somehow. Right? All the fiat money that's out there. And again, we're not unique. All the other countries got the same problem and worse. Yeah, I know. By the way, for those of you who are hoping for home prices to fall, it hasn't happened yet. I'll give you the update when we get back.
Yes, ma'am.
Patriot Radio News Hour, 800-951-0592. I think Joe's getting ready to get the special going. I think, Joe, we got something to start.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to check really
okay.
fast. Okay, we're good. We're good here. So, really quickly, yesterday we ran those dime rolls and we almost sold out. I thought we would, but we've got they're $120 a roll for a roll of dimes, which is melts like $118. And we're selling them for $120. To kind of give you an idea, each dime is like 4 cents over melt, right? I mean, right at $120. But if you bought 25 rolls or more, we took them down to $115 a roll. And I just got done. Sarah and Arlene just confirmed it. I've got 75 rolls still left. So yesterday we had 300 rolls. So that's 3 bags of 25. If you want to jump in, or you can buy them, 1 or 2 at a time. $120 a roll if you buy 25 rolls. $115, that is below melt. $2,875 on gold, and this one I'm excited about. This is going to be a sale on Indians. We don't get the Indians very much. As most of you know, pre-1933 gold, 1866 to 1933, 1866 to 1907 was the Liberties. Right, and they had the $20 Liberty, the $10 Liberty, the $5 Liberty, $2.50 Liberty. Teddy Roosevelt did not think that coin was majestic enough because the United States was a superpower. And I'm not going to lie, you had the francs, the French francs, the Swiss francs, the German mark, you had the British sovereign, and they had cool stuff on it, right? We had, the side profile Lady Liberty's face. So Teddy wanted something better, and they made the St. Gaudens. The artist's name was Augustus St. Gaudens, and he actually died right before they were going to get released, so they named the coin after him. What people don't know is the Indians replaced the Liberties in the fractional. So they didn't call the fractionals St. Gaudens, right? A $20 saint, a $10 saint, a $5 saint. They didn't do that. And the reason being is the $10, $5, $2.50, even the $1, they all had some form of Indian garb on. The $5 Indian, as an example, has a male Indian with his war feathers on. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think it's a great coin. The $10 Indian, which is, the half ounce, it is the male Lady Liberty wearing an Indian headdress, right? The feathers. And it is something where like we said, we don't get a lot of them because when you think about what I'll call the original COVID, right? Back in, the plague, 1916, they were worried that the Indians, and in particular, the $5 and $2.50 Indian, because they actually carved into the coins. They called it an infused design, so it had grooves. And dirt would get in there, kind of think about like your shoes, right? Your shoes got those little grooves in them. Sometimes they get dirty, and they thought, well, it's got the plague, and nobody wanted Indians. And the $10 Indian was lumped in there. And so from 1908 to 1933, the vast majority of those years, the United States government didn't mint any Indians at all. Matter of fact, like the $10 Indian, I think got minted for 12 years. That's it. So not only are they a sharper looking coin, right? They're cooler looking than the Liberty coins. There's just not that many of them. So they always carry big premiums and are always more expensive than their Liberty counterpart. And every once in a while, hey, they're a little bit cheaper. But today, I've got a deal of deals. I've got 75 $10 Indians, 1 through 9 at $15.75. By the way, a $10 Liberty today, $15.95. That $15.75, that is $45 off, by the way. $10 Indian, yesterday, $1,620. 10 or more, $15.65. 20 or more, $15.50. I mean, Jason, it doesn't get any better than that. Normally you're lucky if we can sell an Indian at the same price as the Liberty. Maybe a really lucky $5 or $10 off. 1 through 9, you save, it's $20 less than a $10 Liberty. 10 or more, $30 less. 20 or more, $45 less at 800-951-0592. And this is a deal of a lifetime. And guess what? Gold has now come all the way back. Gold right now, $2,940, and it looks like if things keep going this way, we're going to set a new all-time record closing high in gold. Take advantage. Get diversified. Listen, those dimes, we're giving them away to you. Giving them away to you. These Indians, giving them away. I don't know that we'll ever see a $10 Indian opportunity to buy for $45 less than a $10 Liberty. 800-951-0592. It's Friday, and man, what a great way to end the week. It's been a great week of specials here at Patriot. When we get back, what happened to housing? What happened to inflation expectations? What happened to the, Service Society. $800-951-0592. Just an incredible opportunity. I'll say it and I'll say it again. We had this great moment where the premiums for gold were at all-time record lows. That has ended. Premiums have been rising almost every day this week. But here's the good news. They're still way below where they should be. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. If you're going to get your gold IRAs and silver IRAs done, do it now while premiums are still affordable. We've been telling you how much physical gold and silver has had to be delivered. Think about silver. 40 million ounces of silver had to be delivered that they weren't planning on. The gold's been in the headlines for the last 2 weeks. These dime rolls at $120. If you buy 25 rolls or more at $115. Remember I told you, the big guys out there, they want $132 a roll. And by the way, they only give you the Roosevelt dimes in those rolls. Not here. You're going to get all of them. You're going to get Mercs. You're going to get all the Mercury dimes are going to be in there. All the dimes are going to be in there. Another one had them on sale for like $127. You can't beat price right here. And then, of course, the $10 Indians. This is, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's fortunate. It just popped up. We jumped on it here. 1 through 9 at $15.75. That's $45 off. But then if you buy 10 or more, how about $55 off, $15.65? 20 or more, $70 off at $15.50 at 800-951-0592. Existing home sales, this is the big one, down 5% in January, about double what was expected. The biggest drop month over month going back to November of 22. Sales declined the most in the West and the South, which are the two big markets. And then this was the part that was worrying. The price, the median price, up 5%, 4.8% to just under $400,000. The problem is the average price, way over that. You're talking like $450,000 to $500,000. They said that most of the activity in homes sold were priced above $1 million. Man, just doesn't buy what it used to. It just doesn't. Property stayed on the market for the longest amount of time in 5 years. And there's been talk. Remember, we've been talking about what options does the Treasury have? Property, right, where they can sell some government buildings. They're not that valuable. They're mostly office, old office, outdated office buildings. They're not worth very much. They can revalue gold, right? A lot of talk about that. And then they can privatize Fannie and Freddie, right? Well, the realtors, they talked about that today. And they said that if the government privatizes Fannie and Freddie, look for mortgage rates to go even higher. right? They're expecting that if they do this, that mortgage rates could jump by another full percentage point. And again, why? Well, it's simple, because Fannie and Freddie, they do the poorer people's homes, right? The home, you got. I think you got to be under 700,000, and of course, what did they tell you? Well, most of the activity is over $1 million plus. But Jason, they are in receivership. They've never been taken out of receivership since the financial crisis. They're still in receivership, and if they privatize it, maybe they can get $10 or $15 billion. But essentially, they're letting you know, hey, if it goes private, even less people are going to be able to qualify for a mortgage, and rates will go higher.
Buying a home is getting more and more difficult, and just seems like it's been doing that for a long time, right, Joe? The housing crash is all that soft, fake way of getting people into homes. They still kind of fudge the numbers on some levels to try to get people into homes, but it's gotten a lot harder. I mean, just the price and the inflation. And if they print a whole bunch more money up, Joe, it's just going to make it even harder to buy a house. Because if your wages don't keep up, right? If your wages don't keep up.
Yeah. And why would rates go up? Well, simple. It's the government gives better terms to people that don't deserve better terms, and the default rate is much higher at Fannie and Freddie. So if they go private, that's what happens. So not a very good report. Not that we are expecting it. Inventories continuing to climb. A lot of people just giving up now and saying they're taking their houses off the market. Jump in here. Listen, there's 2 lines open. There shouldn't be 1 line open, but there's 2 lines open. Get those Indians put away. Get the dimes put away. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're wrapping up the week right after this. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, we're wrapping up this Friday. We got 2 dime bags left. If you want the 25 roll special, it's $115 a roll. It's below melt. It's $2,875 for silver dimes. And like I said, the cool part about us is we get you all of them. The Mercury, we don't pick them out and then try to charge you more and do all that other stuff. And then the Indians. This is during the break I was talking to Arlene. We've sold 25 of them, but she even said, I can't believe this. I figured the phones would blow up. This is incredible. Arlene's been doing this a long time. She knows a good deal when she hears one. $10 Indians, 1 through 9, $15.75, 10 through 19, $15.65, 20 or more, $15.50. And it doesn't matter how many you buy. They're all cheaper than the $10 Liberties by a lot. $20, $30, and $40 cheaper. And you guys know, for those of you that have been buying gold from us for a long time, you know that doesn't happen. 800-951-0592. The Dow down 400 more points again today. Elon Musk saying fake news. The Financial Times was saying that maybe Tesla was going to buy Nissan. Musk saying, nope, we don't want Nissan. Nobody wants Nissan. Remember, they got downgraded to junk today. And then J.P. Morgan says the rout in its second day, warning more to come. And this has been kind of the thing, Jason. We've noticed when Trump got elected, a lot of the retailers, us Trump fans, right? We were throwing money into the stock market. The problem was all the big money was selling. And now the retail investor has slowed down. J.P. Morgan says, look for more pain. Financials, healthcare, tech, and retail. They said, you know what's working? China. Yeah. Okay. Sure. No thanks. 800-951-0592. And remember, you got those big IRAs. Be smart here. Take a chunk of it. Call us. Let's get you into a hard assets IRA while the premiums are still affordable and before the market crashes. I mean, Jason, this is the setup here. We're waiting to see the service sector, by the way, which is, we're a service economy now, as they like to tell us. The first time in several years that the PMI in the service sector fell into contraction. Remember, that's a number, anything below 50. It came in at 49.7, the first time since January of 2003, and well below the 50 that they were expecting. And then the University of Michigan, everyone thinks inflation is coming back. And so that was a worse number, too. So, Jason, a lot of factors today, a lot of data today, most of it to the downside.
We'll see what Monday has to offer, right? It's another week and more. I'm sure a lot more is going to happen over the weekend.
Oh, yeah. We'll have that, I guarantee you.